She ran with nothing but terror in her heart, and a child growing inside her. The Arizona desert stretched endlessly before her, unforgiving and deadly. But when the Apache warrior found her hiding between the rocks, trembling and pregnant, he should have killed her. That's what everyone expected. That's what the stories said would happen. But what he did instead would change both their lives forever. Stick around, because this story gets absolutely wild. The year was 1873, and Sarah Mitchell was about to lose everything. Standing on the wooden porch of Silver Creek's general store, she rested one hand protectively on her swollen belly. 6 months pregnant, 3 months a widow, 22 years old and completely alone. Her husband Thomas had died in a mining accident, and the grief still crushed her chest every morning when she woke up. But she couldn't fall apart. Not with a baby coming. Not with the wolves already circling. And speaking of wolves, here came one now. Deputy Charles Brennan pushed through the door, his badge gleaming, his eyes fixed on Sarah like she was prey. "Mrs. Mitchell," he said, his voice dripping with false concern. "I've been meaning to discuss your situation." Sarah's stomach dropped. She knew what was coming. A woman in your condition, alone, trying to maintain that property. It's not proper. Not safe. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You need a man to protect you, to provide for you and that baby. Perhaps we could come to an arrangement." The implication was crystal clear. Marriage, whether she wanted it or not. "I appreciate your concern, Deputy," Sarah said, her voice steadier than she felt. "But I'm managing quite well on my own." His expression hardened. "Are you, though? That cabin is falling apart. Winter's coming. You're going to need help, and I'm offering it. You could do a lot worse than a respectable man with a steady position." Before Sarah could respond, Martha Henderson, the storekeeper's wife, cut in firmly. "The lady has given you her answer, Charles. Don't you have patrol duties to attend to?" Brennan's jaw tightened. "This conversation isn't over, Mrs. Mitchell. You'll come to see reason soon enough." He turned and left, slamming the door behind him. Sarah released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. But her relief wouldn't last long. That evening, walking the half-mile back to her cabin on the outskirts of town, Sarah's mind raced through her limited options. Martha was kind, but kindness wouldn't pay Thomas's debts or fix the leaking roof. Her savings wouldn't last much longer. The mine company's settlement barely covered the funeral. She was trapped, and Brennan knew it. Then she heard the horses. Multiple riders. Moving fast. Fear shot through her veins. Apache raids were rare now, but they still happened. She quickly extinguished her lamp and grabbed Thomas's rifle, peering through the window. But these weren't Apache. They were white men. 5 of them, dismounting near her barn, speaking in low, dangerous voices. Sarah's blood went cold. She recognized their leader, Dutch Carpenter, an outlaw who operated in the territory. Rumors said Deputy Brennan looked the other way when they passed through. "For a price." "Widow woman," one of them said, his voice carrying in the still air. Husband was a miner. Probably kept gold dust hidden somewhere. Sarah's heart hammered. She had no gold. Just a few coins, and Thomas's pocket watch. But these men wouldn't believe that. They wouldn't leave without searching. Thoroughly. She couldn't defend herself against 5 armed men. Her only option was to run. She grabbed a small bag, stuffing in bread, her money, Thomas's watch, slipped out the back door into the darkness. The desert stretched before her, dangerous and deadly, but less threatening than the men ransacking her home behind her. She walked for hours, guided by moonlight, boots crunching on rocky ground. The baby shifted inside her. "It's all right, little one," she whispered. "We'll find safety. I promise." But that was a lie, wasn't it? Dawn broke when exhaustion finally forced her to stop. She'd reached a small canyon with a trickle of water. She drank deeply, found shelter between 2 large rocks, and collapsed. Her feet ached. Her back throbbed. Fear gnawed at her insides. What would she do now? She couldn't return to Silver Creek, not if Brennan was involved with those outlaws. She had nowhere to go. No family nearby. and she was carrying a child who would arrive in 3 months. The reality crashed over her, and for the first time since Thomas's death, she allowed herself to cry. Then she heard the horses again, different from before, moving slowly, deliberately. She pressed herself against the rock, hardly daring to breathe. 3 riders appeared at the canyon's edge. Apache warriors. Sarah's blood froze. She'd heard the stories, tales of violence and captivity. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but there was nowhere to go. She was trapped. The lead rider spotted her almost immediately. He was younger than she expected, maybe late 20s, with strong features and dark eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. He wore traditional Apache clothing mixed with pieces of cavalry gear, likely taken in raids. He dismounted, approached slowly. His hand wasn't on his weapon. "Please," Sarah whispered, her voice hoarse from thirst and terror. "Please don't hurt me. I'm carrying a child." She placed both hands on her belly, hoping this universal sign of motherhood would invoke mercy. The Apache warrior stopped a few feet away, studying her. His companions remained mounted, watching. He spoke in Apache, his tone questioning. Sarah shook her head helplessly. "I don't understand, please." He switched to heavily accented English. "You alone? Why?" Sarah decided honesty was her only weapon. "Bad men came. They wanted to hurt me, to take what little I have. I ran. My husband is dead. I have nothing and nowhere to go." Something flickered in the warrior's eyes. He turned to his companions and spoke rapidly in Apache. They responded. A brief discussion ensued. Were they deciding her fate? Would they kill her quickly or take her captive? Finally, the warrior turned back to her. "I am called Apache by white men. My true name you cannot speak. You come with us." "What? No, please. I can't." "You die here," he said simply, gesturing to the merciless landscape. "No water, no food. You come, you live. Choose." And that's when Sarah Mitchell made the choice that would change everything. Sarah stared at the Apache warrior, every horror story she'd ever heard flashing through her mind. Tales of torture, captivity, suffering. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw no cruelty there. Only a pragmatic assessment of her situation. And he was right. She would die out here alone. "If I go with you," she said, her voice trembling, "what will happen to me? What will happen to my baby?" Apache considered her question for a long moment. "You work, you live with people. Baby come, baby live. We not kill women with child, not our way." It wasn't much reassurance, but it was something. And Sarah knew she had no real choice. She couldn't survive the desert alone. Returning to Silver Creek meant facing Dutch Carpenter's gang and Deputy Brennan's unwanted advances. At least with the Apache, there was a chance, however slim. "All right," she whispered. "I'll come with you." Apache nodded and helped her to her feet with surprising gentleness, careful of her condition. He brought her water from a skin bag. She drank gratefully. One of the other warriors brought a horse forward, and Apache lifted her onto it with ease, then mounted behind her to keep her steady. They rode for most of the day, deeper into the mountains where white settlements rarely ventured. Sarah's fear gradually gave way to exhaustion, and she found herself leaning back against Apache's solid frame, too tired to maintain rigid posture. He didn't push her away, simply adjusted his grip to ensure she wouldn't fall. Then they arrived at the camp, and Sarah's breath caught. The hidden Apache village nestled in a valley surrounded by high cliffs. 30 wickiups, dome-shaped dwellings made of wooden frames covered with brush and hides. Women tended fires, children played, men worked on weapons, and every single one of them stopped to stare at the pregnant white woman. Sarah felt dozens of eyes on her, some curious, others hostile. Apache dismounted and helped her down, then spoke to the gathering crowd in their language. His tone was authoritative, and gradually people began to return to their activities, though the sidelong glances continued. An older woman approached, her face weathered by years and sun, her eyes sharp and assessing. She and Apache exchanged words, then she gestured for Sarah to follow her. Sarah looked at Apache uncertainly. She is Nietzsche, Apache said. She teach you. You stay in her wiki up. Help her. She lost daughter in raid by soldiers. She need help. You need place. Is good. Sarah followed Nietzsche to one of the larger wiki-ups. Inside it was surprisingly comfortable. Woven mats on the ground, baskets containing various goods. Nietzsche indicated Sarah should sit, then brought her food. Roasted meat and some kind of bread made from ground seeds. Sarah ate hungrily, realizing she hadn't had a proper meal since fleeing her cabin. But as she lay on a mat that night, staring up at the smoke hole in the roof, watching sparks from the fire drift toward the stars, she placed her hand on her belly. "What have I done?" she whispered. "What kind of life will you have here, little one?" She had no idea how much worse things were about to get. The days that followed established a brutal new rhythm. Nietzsche was a patient but demanding teacher. She showed Sarah how to gather plants, prepare food the Apache way, tan hides, weave baskets. The work was hard, especially in Sarah's condition. But Nietzsche was mindful of her pregnancy, never pushing beyond what she could manage. Sarah learned that Apache wasn't just a warrior. He held a position of respect in the camp. He was the son of a chief who'd been killed by American soldiers 5 years earlier, and he now led warriors who still resisted forced relocations to reservations. These people were holdouts, those who refused to surrender their way of life, and Sarah was now one of them. Apache checked on her regularly, speaking briefly in his limited English. He brought her extra food sometimes, a better blanket when nights grew cold. Sarah found herself watching for these visits, grateful for the familiar sound of his voice in a sea of incomprehensible Apache speech. Then everything changed. One afternoon, about 2 weeks after her arrival, Sarah was gathering wood near the edge of camp when she heard raised voices. She looked up to see Apache arguing with another warrior, a man she'd learned was called Cochilo. Their argument was heated, with Cochilo gesturing angrily toward Sarah. Nietzsche appeared beside her, expression troubled. She'd been teaching Sarah some Apache words, and now she used simple English and gestures to explain. "Cochilo says you bring danger. Says soldiers follow white woman, find camp. Says you should be sent away or killed." Fear shot through Sarah's chest. "What does Apache say?" "Apache says you stay. Says you under his protection. Says any who harm you answer to him." But that night, Apache came to Nietzsche's wiki-up with news that made Sarah's blood run cold. "Cochilo right about one thing," he said, sitting across the fire from her. "Soldiers look for missing white woman. They think Apache take you. More reason to attack our people." Sarah's heart sank. "I'm bringing trouble to you. I'm sorry. I never meant—" "You not cause problems," Apache cut her off. "White men cause problems. Always. They take, they kill, they break promises. They push us into smaller and smaller land, then surprised when we fight back." His voice held years of accumulated anger and grief. "But you not them. You just woman trying to survive, trying to protect child. I understand this." "Why did you help me?" Sarah asked quietly. "When you found me in that canyon, you could have just left me there." Apache was quiet for a long moment, staring into the fire. When he finally spoke, his voice was level, but Sarah could hear the pain beneath it. "My woman, she was with child when soldiers came to our village 3 winters past. They said they come in peace, to talk. But they lied. They attacked. My woman, she was killed. Our child never born." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what they did to you." "Not your fault," Apache said simply. "But now you hear. You part of this. You learn our ways, you respect our ways, you be safe. You disrespect, you make trouble, you endanger people, then Cochilo get his wish." "I understand," Sarah said. "I promise I'll work hard. I'll learn. I won't cause trouble." Apache nodded and stood to leave, then paused. "Your name, Sarah, is good name. My woman, her name was Dioda. It mean going to the east." She loved to watch sunrise. He left the wiki-up, leaving Sarah to contemplate the unexpected connection between them, built on shared loss and the fragile hope of new life. But the fragile peace wouldn't last. As spring gave way to early summer, Sarah's belly grew rounder with each passing week. The women of the camp began treating her with a mixture of acceptance and curiosity. Nietzsche proved not just a teacher, but a guardian, defending Sarah from occasional hostile comments from those who still viewed her as a threat. Sarah's hands, once soft from her relatively gentle life in Silver Creek, became calloused from constant work. She learned to move efficiently, to waste nothing, to find value in every part of the plants and animals the Apache used for survival. She began understanding their language, picking up words and phrases. And Apache's visits continued. Their conversations grew longer, more personal. He told her about his childhood, learning to hunt and fight from his father, about the old ways before white settlers came in overwhelming numbers. She told him about Missouri, about meeting Thomas, about their dreams of building something lasting on the frontier. One evening, as they sat outside Nietzsche's wickiup watching sunset paint the mountains orange and purple, Apache asked, "You miss your people? Your old life?" Sarah considered carefully. "I miss some things. I miss feeling safe. I miss understanding everyone around me. But the life I had in Silver Creek?" She shook her head. "There was nothing left for me there except debt and a man who saw me as property to be claimed. This deputy you speak of before, he tried to own you in his way. Yes, he saw a pregnant widow as an easy target, someone vulnerable he could manipulate into marriage. He didn't care about me or my baby. He just wanted control, and probably whatever little property Thomas left behind." Apache's expression darkened. Men who use power to take what others not willing to give, they are cowards. Same in any people, white or Apache. Real strength is protection of those weaker, not exploitation of them. "You protected me," Sarah said softly. "You didn't have to, but you did. Why? And please don't just say it reminded you of your wife. I think there's more to it." He was quiet for so long Sarah thought he wouldn't answer. Finally he said, "When I find you in Canyon, I see fear in your eyes, but also fight. You ready to defend yourself and child, even knowing you have no chance. That courage, that mother love, is sacred thing. To ignore it, to let you die, would dishonor memory of all mothers, including mine, including Dowda. So I bring you here." "And now," Sarah asked, "do you regret that decision? Cochilo certainly thinks you should." Cochilo afraid. He lost 2 sons to white soldiers. His fear make him angry, make him want revenge on any white person. I understand his pain, but I not let it make me blind. You not enemy, you survivor. Like us. Their eyes met, and something passed between them. Recognition of shared experience. Mutual respect slowly transforming into something deeper. Sarah felt her heart beat faster and looked away, confused by the sudden rush of feelings. This was wrong, wasn't it? Thomas had been dead only 5 months. She was carrying his child. And Apache was from a completely different world. A man her former townspeople would call savage and enemy. But he'd shown her more genuine kindness and respect in these weeks than Deputy Brennan had in 2 years. More understanding than most of the so-called civilized people in Silver Creek. He'd given her safety when she had none, defended her presence when others questioned it, shared his own grief to help her feel less alone. The baby kicked hard, and Sarah gasped, her hand flying to her belly. Apache immediately moved closer, concern on his face. "Something wrong?" "No, no," Sarah said, smiling despite herself. "Just a particularly strong kick. The baby's getting restless." "May I?" Apache asked, gesturing toward her belly. Sarah hesitated only a moment before nodding. He placed his hand gently on her stomach, and almost immediately the baby kicked again, right against his palm. A look of wonder crossed his face, softening his usually stoic expression. Strong child. Fighter. Like mother. "I hope this child knows peace," Sarah said quietly. "I hope he or she grows up in a world where people don't have to run and hide, where babies aren't killed before they're born, where mothers don't have to fear for their children every day. I hope this too, Apache said. But hope and reality, often different things. Still, we try. We protect our people, our children, our future best we can, is all anyone can do. That night Sarah lay awake long after the camp had grown quiet. Her feelings for Apache were becoming undeniable, and that terrified her. She hadn't come here looking for romance, hadn't expected to feel anything for anyone so soon after Thomas's death. Was she betraying Thomas's memory? Or was she simply a widow finding unexpected comfort in the most unlikely of places? Then the runners arrived, and everything exploded. The next morning, breathless runners brought news that sent the camp into chaos. A cavalry unit had been spotted 2 days' ride to the east, questioning people about a missing pregnant white woman named Sarah Mitchell. They were offering a reward for information leading to her recovery, claiming she'd been kidnapped by Apache raiders. The camp went into immediate action, preparing for a possible move. Apache gathered his warriors. Sarah found herself at the center of a heated council meeting, with Cochillo once again arguing loudly that she should be released, sent back to her people before she brought destruction on them all. Apache stood and spoke with the authority of a leader. Sarah couldn't understand all the words, but Nietzsche translated quietly. Apache says you not bargaining piece to be traded, not prisoner to be released. You under his protection. You member of this group now. He says those who want you gone must go through him first. Cochillo stood as well, face twisted with anger. He spoke rapidly, gesturing wildly, and Sarah caught enough words to understand. He was questioning Apache's judgment, suggesting his decision was clouded by personal feelings rather than what was best for the people. The tension was palpable. Other warriors shifted uncomfortably. Some nodded at Cochillo's words. Others looked to Apache with loyalty. Sarah realized with sinking dread that she was causing a rift in the community, potentially weakening them when they needed unity most. She stood, heart pounding, and spoke in her halting Apache supplemented with English. Please, I don't want to cause division. If my presence brings danger, if my being here threatens your children, then I will go. I'll turn myself over to the soldiers and tell them I was never kidnapped, that I ran away and got lost. I won't let them use me as an excuse to attack you. Apache turned to her, expression fierce. You not go. You not strong enough to travel far. Baby come soon. You go now. You and child die. I not allow this. But he's right, Sarah said, gesturing to Cochillo. The soldiers are looking for me. If they find this camp, people will die. Maybe children will die. And it will be because of me. I can't live with that. Apache stepped closer, his voice dropping, but losing none of its intensity. You think soldiers need excuse to attack us? You think if you not here, they leave us in peace? No. They want our land. They want us on reservation where we slowly die of disease and hunger and loss of spirit. They will come whether you here or not. Only difference is, with you here, we know they come soon. We prepare. Is better than being surprised. The logic was sound, but Sarah's guilt remained crushing. Nietzsche stood and spoke, her voice carrying authority despite her age. She gestured to Sarah as she spoke and others began to nod. When she finished, Apache translated. Nietzsche says you work hard, you learn our ways, you show respect. She says you carry innocent life, life that's sacred to our people. She says Great Spirit bring you to us for reason, and we not refuse his gift. She says any who harm you or force you to leave are defying will of Great Spirit and dishonoring our traditions regarding pregnant women and mothers. Cochillo looked furious, but said nothing more. Nietzsche's words had invoked spiritual authority that even he wouldn't challenge directly. The council ended with an agreement to move the camp to a more defensible location in the mountains, a place soldiers would find nearly impossible to reach without being spotted long before they arrived. But the move would be dangerous, especially for a woman in Sarah's condition. The next morning, the entire camp mobilized with practiced efficiency. Wiki-ups were dismantled, possessions packed. Within hours they were moving through the mountains like ghosts. Sarah rode on a gentle mare with Apache leading the horse, staying close to ensure she didn't fall. The baby seemed to sense the tension, moving restlessly inside her. They traveled for 2 days, finally arriving at a hidden canyon with steep walls and only one narrow entrance that could be easily defended. Water flowed from a spring, enough flat ground for the camp. As people began rebuilding their wickiups, Sarah helped where she could, though her movement was increasingly limited by her advanced pregnancy. That evening, as Sarah sat resting against a smooth boulder, Apache approached with fresh meat and fruit. "You need strength," he said simply. "Baby come any day now." "I know," Sarah said, placing a hand on her enormous belly. "I'm frightened. Childbirth is dangerous even with a doctor. Out here with no real medical help." "You have help," Apache assured her. "Naiche is skilled midwife. She helped bring many babies into world, including me. She know what to do. And I will be nearby." Sarah couldn't help but smile slightly. "What do you know about childbirth?" "Nothing," he admitted with a hint of a smile. "But I know about being present for people who matter. I not let you face this alone." The words hung in the air. People who matter. Sarah looked up at him, seeing the concern in his eyes, the protective stance of his body, the way his hand hovered near hers, as if wanting to offer comfort, but uncertain if it would be welcome. "Apache," she said softly, "I need to tell you something. These past weeks, being here, getting to know you and your people, I felt something I didn't expect to feel, something I'm not sure I should feel, given everything." He sat down beside her, attention fully focused. "What you feel." Sarah took a deep breath. "I care about you. More than I should, probably. You saved my life, yes. But it's more than gratitude. You've shown me kindness, respect, understanding. You've shared your pain with me, trusted me with your memories of Daoda. You've defended me when others wanted me gone. And somehow, despite all the reasons this makes no sense, despite coming from such different worlds, I find myself wanting to be near you, wanting to hear your voice, wanting to know what you're thinking." She looked away, embarrassed. "I'm sorry if that's inappropriate or unwelcome. I know I'm carrying another man's child, and I know we're from different peoples and—" He placed his hand over hers, stopping her flow of words. "Sarah, I feel same. I not expect this either. When Dauda die, I think part of me die too. I think I never feel anything again except anger and loss. But you bring something back to life inside me. Your courage, your strength, your kindness to my people even when some not kind to you. The way you protect child you carry. The way you adapt and learn and survive. I see you, and I remember what it is to hope for tomorrow, not just fight to survive today." Tears spilled down Sarah's cheeks. "What do we do? Where can this possibly go? Your people and mine are at war. The soldiers are looking for me. The world won't understand or accept us." "World not need to understand," Apache said firmly. "We understand. That what matters. My people, they see you now. They see you work, see you learn, see you respect our ways. They accept you as one of us. If you choose to stay, if you choose to be with me, to let me help raise your child as my own, they will accept this." "And what about when the baby is born?" Sarah asked. "What about the future? Will we spend our entire lives running and hiding?" Apache sighed, expression troubled. "I not know. I wish I could promise you safety, promise you easy life. But I cannot. What I can promise is that I protect you and child with my life. I teach child to be strong, to survive, to honor both parts of heritage, white and Apache. I be father to child if you allow it. Love child as my own." Sarah felt a kick, strong and insistent. She guided Apache's hand to the spot. They sat in silence, feeling the life moving within her. Life that represented both hope and uncertainty. "Thomas was a good man," Sarah said quietly. "He would want his child to be loved and protected. I think if he could know the situation, if he could see you and know your heart, he would be grateful that we're not alone." "You honor his memory by surviving," Apache said. "By being strong for child. By choosing life over death, hope over despair. This is what he would want. 2 days later, as dawn broke over the canyon, everything changed forever. Sarah woke to the unmistakable sensation of her water breaking. The contractions followed quickly, intense, regular, merciless. Naiche took charge immediately, sending women to gather supplies and prepare the wickiup. Apache paced outside, his usual calm demeanor shattered by worry. The labor was long, brutal, difficult. Sarah cried out in pain, grasping Naiche's hands as the older woman spoke soothingly in Apache. Words Sarah didn't fully understand but found comforting nonetheless. The sun climbed high, then began its descent. Women came and went, bringing water, offering support. But as evening approached and the baby still hadn't come, Sarah began to fear that neither she nor the child would survive. "I can't," she gasped between contractions. "I can't do this anymore." Naiche spoke firmly, and one of the younger women translated. "She says you are strong like mountain lion. She says your child is fighter, taking time to prepare for difficult world. She says you must not give up now, so close to meeting your little one." Apache appeared at the entrance to the wickiup, breaking protocol by entering during birth. His eyes met Sarah's, and the fear she saw there, the desperate concern, gave her a surge of determination. She would not give up, would not leave him alone again, would not let this child die before taking its first breath. With a final tremendous effort, as stars began appearing in the darkening sky, Sarah brought her child into the world. The baby's cry pierced the evening air, strong, indignant, furious at being born into this harsh world. Sarah collapsed back, exhausted beyond measure, but filled with overwhelming relief. "Boy," Naiche announced with satisfaction. "Strong, healthy boy." They cleaned the baby and wrapped him in soft hide before placing him in Sarah's arms. She looked down at her son, at his tiny features, shock of dark hair, perfect little fingers that grasped instinctively at her touch. "Hello, little one," she whispered. "Welcome to this world. I'm your mother, and I promise I will love you and protect you every single day of your life." Apache knelt beside them, eyes filled with wonder as he looked at the baby. "He beautiful," he said softly. "Perfect." "Would you like to hold him?" Sarah asked. Apache looked startled, then carefully took the baby into his arms. The infant settled immediately, as if recognizing safety and strength. Apache spoke to him in Apache, words that sounded like promises and blessings. Sarah felt her heart swell with emotion at the sight. But their peace wouldn't last. Not with soldiers still hunting for her. Not with Cochillo still questioning Apache's judgment. Not with a fragile infant in a hidden canyon surrounded by enemies. The real test was just beginning. Over the following weeks, Sarah recovered her strength while learning to care for her newborn son. She'd named him Thomas James Mitchell, honoring his father. But Apache had also given him an Apache name, Kaya, meaning sparrowhawk, for the fierce cry he made when hungry or displeased. The baby thrived. The camp celebrated his presence as a symbol of hope and continuity. Apache was an attentive and protective presence, helping Sarah when she needed it, watching over both mother and child with devotion that made it clear to everyone he considered them his family. The resistance to Sarah's presence had evaporated. She was now simply Sarah, mother of little Kaya, woman who belonged to Apache, member of their community. One evening, as summer reached its full glory and the canyon was bathed in golden light, Apache took Sarah's hand. "I have something to ask you. In my people's tradition, there is ceremony for man and woman who choose to be together, to build life as partners. It not same as white marriage, but it is binding, sacred. I want to perform this ceremony with you, if you willing. I want to formally claim you as my woman, and I want to claim Kaya as my son. I want world to know you are mine and I am yours." Sarah looked at her son sleeping peacefully in his cradle board, then back at Apache. She thought of her journey, from comfortable life in Missouri, to frontier dreams in Silver Creek, to the loss and grief of Thomas's death, to the desperate flight into the desert, to this hidden canyon, where she'd found not just survival, but belonging. Not just shelter, but love. Yes, she said simply. Yes, I want that. I want to be your family, officially and completely. The ceremony took place 3 days later, with the entire camp in attendance. Nietzsche presided, speaking words in Apache about partnership, responsibility, and the joining of two lives into one path. Sarah and Apache exchanged gifts, she giving him a carefully woven basket she'd made under Nietzsche's instruction, he giving her a necklace he'd crafted with beads and stones that held significance in his culture. They shared a meal, feeding each other as others sang traditional songs, and when it was done, they were husband and wife in the eyes of his people. That night, in their own wickiup with Kaya sleeping nearby, Apache held Sarah close. I never think I would have this again, he admitted quietly. After Daoda, I believe that part of my life was over forever. But you bring light back into darkness. You give me reason to think about future, not just past. You gave me back my life, Sarah replied. You gave me safety, belonging, purpose. You gave my son a father and me a partner. You chose to see me as a person, not an enemy or a prize or a burden. That is a gift beyond measure. They lay together, listening to the sounds of the camp settling for the night, the crackling of fires, the distant call of a nightbird. Sarah knew challenges still lay ahead. The soldiers would keep searching. The conflict between their peoples would continue. Life in the hidden canyon would never be easy. But she also knew she'd found something rare and precious. A man who loved her completely. A community that had embraced her. A future that held hope. Little Kaya stirred and made a small sound. Sarah rose to tend to him, and Apache followed, both hovering over their son with the protective devotion of parents. As she nursed the baby, with Apache's hand resting gently on her shoulder, Sarah felt a deep sense of peace. She'd come to the frontier seeking a new life, had lost everything she thought mattered, had faced death in the desert, and had emerged with something far more valuable than gold or land or social standing. She'd found love, acceptance, family, in the most unexpected place, with the most unexpected person. She'd learned that home wasn't a place or a people, but rather the presence of those who truly saw you, valued you, and stood beside you through whatever storms life might bring. And as she looked at Apache, at the way he gazed at Kaya with wonder and pride, she knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together. As a family, as partners, as two hearts that had found each other against all odds and chosen love over fear, hope over despair, and unity over division. If you loved this story of survival, unexpected love, and finding family in the most unlikely places, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another incredible tale. Drop a comment below telling me which part moved you the most. Was it when Apache first protected Sarah, the birth of baby Kaya, or the moment they chose to become a family? And if you're watching from another country, let me know where you are. I love hearing from viewers all around the world. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.